In this video, I will show you how I made cat collars that I made for the cat birthday party. I made ruffle collars for the girls and bandana collars for the guys. If you've not seen the birthday party video yet, you can find it on my animal playlist. 18 by 22 inch. Usually quilters buy these for quilting. I picked out some boy colors and some girl colors. That one is just pretty. Thought I'd make that one for Grandma. It's adorable with kitties on it. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, for the guys, I am making bandanas. So we open up the quarter, discard or save, because it could be used for craft projects. And then we fold it over part way. Kind of created my pattern here. To show you what this is actually folded in half, so it's kind of like a diamond shape. I think the length is good enough to tie around the neck of the kitty, and it's going to lose a ½ inch when I sew it together, so that won't be too bad. Hey Carlotta. Yeah, thank you, just in time. Yeah, see, that can work. It can work, it won't be too big. Okay, now I've got one more boy bandana to cut out. I'm doing each one differently, that way I can distinguish one kitty from another. The boys will have bandanas and the girls are going to have a ruffle. I do it this way so I don't waste fabric. It is going to give us a little bit of leftovers. All right, count. All right, do you have to walk back and forth in front of me? Are you trying to get my attention? Is that what it is? I know, I've never given you a birthday party. Never, ever. And I'm giving the kitties a birthday party. Because I have so many cats. And I have to pay for the neutering of them all, so I gotta make some money somehow. One more boy cat, but he moved away. I haven't seen him for several weeks. Bandanas for the boys. And ruffles for the girls. Yeah, ruffles. And she's already got her cat hair all over it. Alright, let's cut out Grandma's. Beautiful. She gets to have the one with all the kitties all over it because she's the one that had all the kitties.
You got me.
Oh yay, packages. Fun packages. This is beautiful fabric. Got kitties all over it. That's gonna be for Grandma. Oh yeah, I need to share how I got this. and I cut it about a ½ inch bigger than that circle, so I can get the maximum. Alright, now we take the circle and we fold it. We need another circle. And this gives us 2 rings. So we have a front and a back. And when it's gathered with an elastic, of course it's going to be a lot smaller and it'll be like a ruffle around the cat's neck. So adorable. And I gotta do something with that. Okay, now that I've got the circle pattern worked out, I can just use that as a pattern. So do you like these, huh? Do you like these? We have the guys' bandanas and the girls' bandanas. No, girls' ruffles. Grandma, she won, Shito, princess, and I think I'll put that on Carlotta. Carlotta, princess, she won, Shito, and grandma. And for the guys, we'll do Leo, Romeo, Scrappy, Prince, and Tuesday. So we have 5 boys and 5 girls for our birthday party. Okay, here's the boy collars. After I made them, I decided to make it a little bit more narrow here, so I folded down the center just so from here to there, and I left the ends open, and I think that's going to work good. Matter of fact, I put one on one of the cats and it fit pretty good. So we'll just tie a square knot at the end here, and it won't be tight. It'll be, you can adjust it, but I think that works good. And this could be on the back side or on the side, or it could be in the very front. Either one will work. Here's the girl collar, and it's very loose with an elastic. I decided to put a trim on the edge of this one. It fits loose, so it'll be easy to slip on and slip off. So I just got to finish sewing the rest of these. Okay, what I do with this is I take it and flip it over so that it's right sides together. And hold it with a couple of pins. So I'm going to start sewing right about here, all the way to the corner. I didn't thread my needle. Well, you can't sew if you don't thread your needle. You have to have thread to sew. Oh, I just changed the thread color and forgot to thread the needle. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. Again, this is going to be my opening. So I'll start sewing right here where I put that pin. I took the pin out. When I get to the corner, I put the needle down in, pick up the press-a-foot pivot, and once I get it in place, I drop the press-a-foot when the corner is folded in, you don't want to have like extra bulk right there in the corner. So what I do is just kind of cut off the tip so it's right close to the seam. That way when this is folded in and that's folded in, it would just make a nice point. Our hole is right here. So I'm going to cut off some of these threads. Okay, time to turn it right side out. Now I shall take it to the iron and press it. I want to make sure that these seams are all the way to the very edge when I press it. I like to bring the seams right to the very, very edge. This is my opening right here. Just make sure we got everything nice and flat, that I'm all the way to the very edge. Alright, now I need to top stitch. Right here is my opening that will get sewn in with the top stitch. So I'm just going to start right there and I'm going to sew fairly close to the edge. Just doing a simple top stitch. Pivot on the corner. Pivot on the corner. Now we're almost back to where we started. Okay. Trim our threads. The ones on this side. Now I trim the ones on the other side. Okay, it's done, but this might be too big of a distance, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it over about an inch just to make it a little bit more narrow and start about right there. I'm going to sew from there to about here. Okay, this is what it looks like. so it's kind of open on the sides, and this is going to make a good little color for a boy kitty. I'm doing my stitches about between the 8 and the 12, so it's about 10 stitches per inch, and I'm stitching really close to the edge. Pivot. Oops, sorry, picked up that. Sometimes when I'm on the edge like that, it's really hard to, just pull it out with the seam ripper. Where I started. It's just a little stitch right on the very end. I don't know if the camera picks it up. Right here. Now I'm going to sew with this color, so I need to change my thread. This will be the front. Okay. All the guys' ones are done. Now to do the ladies. What we have to do is put them right sides together. I'm going to sew 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. The edge of my fabric on that mark right there. This is 5/8, 4/8, 3/8. Alright, now we need to do some trims, because this is going to be inside, and it's gonna like have extra bulk, so we don't want that. So what we have to do is every inch we're going to take out a little triangle all the way around the circle. We cut right close to the seam, but do not cut across the seam. About every inch all the way around. So we've clipped the edges. Now we need to throw this in the trash. Only put a seam on the outside edge. When you're doing circles, a complete seam all the way around, you can't do two side by side because you won't be able to turn it right side out. We have to do this seam differently. Now we're going to turn it, and as we turn it, these things are going to be a lot closer together. See, that triangle, though it looks big here, once it's inside, it's going to be smaller. You want to make sure that your edges come all the way, the seam comes all the way to the edge. So I just kind of, with wet fingers, just kind of roll it back and forth like this, so I get it all the way to the edge. And we'll press it, do it a little bit at a time to make sure we're all the way to the very edge. Just kind of roll it between your thumb and fingers. Make sure it's all the way there. Here, I clipped the insides of the circle, then folded both sides inward, pinned them, and now I'm sewing as close to the edge as possible. I do sew over the needles. If you have thin needles, you can sew over them. The heads of my pins are on the right, so if I wanted to pull them out just prior to passing under the needle, I could remove them. I go slowly, doing a little at a time. I need to leave a gap to be able to insert the elastic. I almost didn't leave a gap. I have a small gap right there. So we need to quit. I'm going to take out the pins. When I put on the trim, I see that one side is a little shorter than the other, so I'm going to put the short side on the top and the long side on the bottom. I'm not going to start pinning at the very edge because I have to sew the two ends together. So I'm just going to start pinning right here. Don't have to have a trim, but I think it would just look nice to have a little trim. You could even add a little bit of lace if you want to. Now this is bias tape, and it actually does stretch because it's cut on the bias. That's why it's called bias tape. Oops, I did not put that in good. You want to put it on as flat as you can so you don't have any ripples or bumps. I'm going to finish pinning it all the way around until I get to here, and then I'm going to cut it and I'm going to join the two ends together all the way around. And I went very close to the edge, and it's nice and flat. Let's look at the other side. We see that it's not as close to the edge as it was in the front. That's because its back end was a little bit longer. And just make sure that my seam caught it all. It was right on the edge right there, but it did. So one seam And that trim is on there very well. Now we can put in the elastic. But I do want to kind of make a casing. I'm using this very skinny elastic, which has got a lot of stretch to it. But I'm going to be inserting it with a bodkin. And we need to make sure there's enough room in our casing for the bodkin to fit through. You see that it would fit 1/2 inch. So we need to have a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I am going to, we have our opening somewhere, right there is our opening. But I want to make a casing for the elastic to go in. We just need to make sure that that is a 1/2 inch from the seam. Now it's time to insert the elastic. Now I want it to be bigger than I think I'm going to need it. So it's probably only going to be about this big, but I want to make sure I've got extra. So I take our bodkin, and I'm just going to fold this over so I can we slide this down, and that's going to hold our elastic. And then we got this nice smooth end. It's going to go in. So we put it in our slot. We just run it through. And I think it should go pretty good, except for one little area. I think I might have made it a little too thin. Now before we get all the way in there, I want to hold this end so I don't lose it. So I'm going to use the safety pin. Okay. I'm going to take a safety pin. And I'm just going to pin it right close to the hole here. That way I do not lose the end of my elastic. Of course, my elastic is extra long. So I can continue to feed this through. Okay, here's the narrow spot. Alright, what do you do when you have a narrow spot? My bodkin won't fit through. Well, I could take out a few stitches. I don't have to take out all of them. Just a few. Okay, once you get it past that spot, alright, we're getting close to the hole, and out comes the other end. Alright, I know my elastic is extra long. Connect that, hold on to the end, hold on to this end, and I'm going to pull my elastic. Got the two ends here. Look at my hole, which I think is still kind of big. Try to get it to about the size that I think will work without being too small. I think even that's a little big. Get it to about the size you think you need. That still might be a little big. And it still has some stretch to it. Okay, I'm going to tie a knot in my... Alright, let's check that size. I think that's plenty loose. So it won't be tight. Cut off these ends. It's not hold. Now I want to put that end of the elastic in the knot right inside, and I want to pin this closed so I can close up the hole so it'll all stay inside. Here I'm just going to sew on the very edge to seal up our little hole. Now we can just adjust the fabric around the elastic. Okay, there we go. And there's another one. So now we have two. I need to finish the rest of them. So we have a pretty little collar for the ladies. Nobody else is going to eat it. I will eat it.